The OnePlus 9 Pro has been bashed, rejected in multiple ways by multiple people. The cameras were not up to the mark, the phone was reported to have issues with overheating, the price had another increase over the OnePlus 8 Pro, and OnePlus had marketed this phone as a phone which has an amazing camera after announcing a $150 million licensing agreement with Hasselblad, maker of very expensive cameras. So, with all the hype riding on it, the phone appeared to be underwhelming. But the situation's changed now. Remember how I was saying everything earlier in past tense? This phone has had about 5 software updates since its release, all focused on fixing the common issues. Hence, I'm here to do something a bit different today. I will put an imaginary tape on the Hasselblad name at the back of this phone, forget the marketing campaign, and give a review of the phone after all of the updates, and tell you how it performs now. This is the OnePlus 9 Pro with its truth after the update. It's a bad move when a company builds a hype that is too much for the product to be able to deal with. We as consumers end up being underwhelmed by the product, because of which we think that the product is not good at what it's supposed to do. While the former is true in the case of OnePlus 9 Pro, the latter isn't. Let's do this. Let's observe the 9 Pro on the basis of all the aspects that make a great smartphone. The OnePlus 9 Pro, despite of its size, is curved in all the right places, which results in the phone fitting into your hand with ease, even when it's a huge 6.8-inch display. And another aspect that helps with this is the weight of the phone, which is surprisingly less for a phone this size. And even though the chassis on the side is very minimal, you can still hold the phone with ease most of the time. The display is curved, but just enough that there won't be too many accidental touches. This stellar black and the pine green color are, according to me, the best colors of the phone. The morning mist is very glossy, very fingerprinty, very shiny. You notice none of that in this color, just sparkly satin-like black with matte black chassis. Overall, the phone feels great, weighs less, fits into your hand comfortably. Hence, a great design from OnePlus for the 9 Pro. When it came to the display, OnePlus 8 Pro had a lot of quality control issues with it. But none of that happens with the 9 Pro. To put it simply, the OnePlus 9 Pro display is absolutely amazing. The colors are vivid, the brightness is great enough for the outdoor sun, the size is big, and the resolution is Quad HD with a 120Hz refresh rate, which can vary according to what's happening on the screen to save battery. After using a bunch of iPhones in the past few months, I can confidently say that 120Hz elevates the experience by a lot. When every small bit of animation looks smoother, the overall experience feels smoother and faster too. It's just something you know only when you try, and once you try it, you can't go back. So, the display of the phone, much like the name of the phone, is a perfect 10. The camera was one of the biggest talking points of the phone at launch because it was not so great. But now the story is a bit different. The last update that I got on the phone was 19th April 2021, which was about the day when I started writing the review. And that update promised to fix a lot of the common issues that I had been facing up to that point. After taking as many photos as I could, focusing on all the tiny little details of every image, here are my thoughts. The camera on this phone is now great for clicking pictures, even though they take 2 to 3 seconds to process. The pictures from the standard wide lens have great, bright, mostly natural colors. Nothing is oversaturated or oversharpened like it was happening before the update. White balance is now on point. The details are all there. The Smart HDR works amazingly in almost all situations except in only a few shots with extreme light in the background, where the pictures looked a bit oversaturated and oversharpened. While we still see a few details in the blacks of the image, which has been improved with the updates, it's a bit less than what I would like. What I'm a big fan of is how malleable the colors are after clicking the pictures from this camera. I can click a simple picture without using the Pro mode and edit it the way I want in Lightroom or Visco with zero issues. This works on ultra-wide shots too. And talking about the ultra-wide lens on this phone is my favorite on any phone. The amount of sharpness and detail you get with the lens is mind-blowing. A 50 megapixel sensor ought to do that. And my only question is, why are other smartphone manufacturers not focusing on having a very sharp ultra wide lens? Distortions are still very prevalent. The sharpness, colors and details are amazing. The telephoto lens is subpar when you compare it to the standard wide and the ultra wide, but it sort of does the job. I will respect your time and not talk about the monochrome sensor, which is just there to make the camera system quad camera. Nothing else, because I don't see the point of it. But if you're still interested, I'll just have a few pictures for you to look at from the monochrome sensor. Talking about shots in night, Nightscape I feel is the best night mode on any phone. I love how it handles noise and colors and exposure. The shots all look natural while details and colors are preserved, except in a few cases where they appear too warm or too cold sometimes. There is also the Pro mode, which works great if you know your way around the camera controls and want to click pictures exactly the way you want. The front camera is same as all the previous OnePlus devices and isn't in need of a big upgrade. If we look at the video coming out of this phone, it's okay. The details are lost easily in the darkest parts. So the 9 Pro, even when it's a phone, it's a flagship that was launched in 2021, it doesn't have optical image stabilization for some reason. But despite of the fact, you can see the stabilization works really well. Apart from that, exposure works really well, even with the sharp light behind me. You can see I'm very well exposed, the light behind me is very well exposed. But still, iPhones are way ahead when it comes to the sheer quality of the video. And OnePlus has a lot of catching up to do. If you want to create content and want to make videos on your phone, I would suggest get any of the iPhones. But after all of the updates, the pictures that come out of the OnePlus 9 Pro camera are really great. So if the camera was holding you back so far on buying the phone, don't worry about it. Get the 9 Pro. It has an amazing camera. When OnePlus decided to change the look of their UI and it ended up looking very different from what you find on Google's Pixel phones, I was pretty disappointed. I felt that OnePlus was moving in a direction which was very different from what they started on. But now that I've used it, I can confidently say that my doubts were just a result of overthinking. The looks have been changed in an attempt to make one-handed use easier on the phone. But the roots of the software, which was stability, smoothness and responsiveness, they're all still there with the 9 Pro. I am aware that 8T was a buggy mess when it came to software for a lot of people, but the 9 Pro isn't. So far, I've not seen any bugs on the 9 Pro apart from Instagram deciding to crash now and then. But one of the best things about the software is how much control it offers to the user. You can change the fingerprint animation to your liking. You can alter your always on display to make it look whichever way you want. You can disable app name labels on the home screen for a cleaner look. You can disable or enable Google search bar and discover on swiping left on the home screen. You can change the accent colors in dark or light mode. You can easily change the icons on the 9 Pro. Pretty much with a two-step process. The 9 Pro has a lot of love for the gamers too. It has an option called Hyper Touch, which basically maintains a consistent frame rate on games and further lowers the touch latency. It also has a gaming mode, which enables you to quiet down all the notifications, disable background activity and the second SIM to maintain the highest level of performance. You can also directly enable screen recording for recording all your gameplay without taking any extra steps apart from swiping down on the corner of the screen and enabling the option. The gaming performance is great with a variety of games as expected with the processor without any overheating issues. Apart from this, due to the Snapdragon 888 and 8 or 12 gigabytes of high-speed RAM and the fast storage, all apps work smooth, open fast, and remain open for as long as you need them. Barring any bad software updates from OnePlus, which has happened on the older phones, this phone will easily last you at least 2 to 3 years. I can vouch for it because I have a OnePlus 7 Pro, a 2-year-old phone, which performs really well for a 2-year-old phone. So the software and the performance also work amazingly well on the OnePlus 9 Pro. The battery life on the 9 Pro has been okay. I usually get 4 to 5 hours of screen on time, sometimes 6, with Quad HD Plus resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate. I can get 12 to 13 hours of use out of the phone on a single charge, which is good but not amazing. What is amazing and kind of sorts out the battery issues of the phone is how fast this phone can charge. This phone can go from 0% to 100% in less than 30 minutes with a charger that comes in the box. You can literally wake up with 5% battery, put the phone on charging, go to the washroom, come out, get ready, and it will reach 100% 10 minutes before you come back to check the phone when you're ready. It can also wirelessly charge from 0 to 100 in under an hour with the 50-watt wireless charger that you will have to buy from OnePlus separately. On a standard wireless charger, it is going to take a few hours to charge. So the battery life is not amazing on the OnePlus 9 Pro, but with really fast charging, a lot of issues are sorted out. So your experience with the OnePlus 9 Pro battery will be great. Coming to the few tiny details that I like about the phone, the vibration motor is dense and subtle, if that makes sense. The fingerprint scanner is fast and accurate, a bit lower on the display but accessible when you get into the habit of it. The speakers are really loud. While I've heard a lot about the overheating issues of the phone, I recorded a 4K video 30 FPS and the phone did not overheat. The phone only shut off after the battery died. Clicking pictures under the sun with Smart HDR on did end up giving me a warning of the phone overheating, which occurred in about 20 minutes. So it's a bit too soon than I expected. The cellular and Wi-Fi reception has also been perfect so far for me. The refresh rate stays consistent most of the time, but weirdly, if I am watching a YouTube video on the app or in picture-in-picture mode, the refresh rate does go back to 60 Hz. But otherwise, it has always been consistent and smooth for me without any issues. So if you've been hearing everything that I've been saying about the OnePlus 9 Pro in the video so far, and if you've stayed with me so far, first of all, thank you. Second, did you feel at any point the OnePlus 9 Pro is a bad device? Did you feel at any point that OnePlus 9 Pro is a bad product? It didn't to me. Yes, the phone had issues when it was launched. They persisted till the time I started reviewing the phone. And yes, the phone did not meet the hype that was created behind it by the marketing campaign. And it's in no way a call out to anyone who gave this phone a bad review. But if we were to forget all of that, put the hype it did not meet and the marketing campaign behind us, and just look at the phone. This phone is extremely well designed, performs even better, has a reliable day of battery life on it, charges really fast, has a great camera, and has performance and specs that are well worth it of the price it has. OnePlus 9 Pro may not be a OnePlus 9 on the scale of 1 to 10. No phone is. But it is a solid 8.5. It's a great phone. Get it. And as for those people who might be interested, I am keeping mine. That covers it. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you loved it. And share this video with the people who might need it. You'll help them, you'll help me, you'll help everyone. I'll talk to you real soon in the next one.